Hello everyone, today we'll be going into detail how exactly the beams work on Cthulhu Phase 1, and this is what I like to refer as the 12-second rule. The first 12 seconds of combat are all threat based in regards to the beam. At exactly 2 seconds, you're going to see the beam go out on top threat, and after that, we're going to get another 1 to 3 beams on whoever is top threat. This is why it's so important that when the main tank enters the combat, he intercepts onto the boss and starts blasting threat. Sometimes you'll see incidents where the tank does not engage the boss, simply runs off to the far corner somewhere and hides. During this segment of these first 12 seconds, it's very plausible that someone might overaggro the tank, and that can sometimes lead to random people getting beamed earlier than anticipated, and therefore unintentionally linking other people. So, it's really important that the first 12 seconds, the main tank actually makes sure that he engages the boss, presses some buttons, and random people will not overaggro. Followed by these first 12 seconds, there's going to be 12 seconds of safety in which there are no beams going out. What this really means is the main tank can engage Cthulhu, intercept in, run to the far side of the boss, and the melee can all stack up in a clump at the entrance side of the boss and damage. And they don't really have to be in position until 24 seconds into combat. Only then will it start beaming random people. Now, some people might be doubting this. I've had cases of that in pugs I've attended where people seem to misunderstand how this works. And to give a context here as to how you check this, if we open up this quickly, you can go here for people that want to check this themselves when you go into Cthulhu here. So the way you check it is we go in here, we go enemies, damage done, I-beam, and then if we go here, click that off here, or rather we go sources first and we click the Eye of Cthulhu, you see two different I-beams here. Now the high number here, that's the one that's threat based and will occur the first 12 seconds. Then we have the lower number here, that's the one that's random, right? So if we go back here and look at these two different here, this is the first one, and you see it stops at about 11.7 seconds. Now the absolute latest I've seen when checking multiple logs is about 12.9 seconds, which is slightly longer than those 12 seconds I mentioned. But that was due to someone over-accurating during that little segment. Most logs I find is about 12 seconds the last beam will possibly go out. And then when we go over here on the second part here it says about 20 seconds, 26 seconds into combat is when we start seeing the first random beam. Now, after checking a lot of different logs, the earliest possible random beam I've seen is about 24 seconds into combat or so. So that really all ties back to this little, very pretty paint graph that I made here, right? So really, as a DPS, what you're looking to do is make sure you do not over-aggro up until this mark. After that, you're free to blast because there's not going to be any beams. And past this point is where you really need to be in position. If you're not in positions by here, you're going to grief your rate, right? It's pretty straightforward. If you have any questions, or maybe you have logs that prove otherwise, I'd be totally down to have a conversation. You can just for a comment below. This is just the information I have at my disposal so far. I don't claim that this is necessarily 100% true. It's just the evidence that I've seen so far seems to indicate that this is indeed like how the boss interacts. Now, just to give some clarification as to how you probably want to play the fight as a tank, or a DPS for that matter, is the tank runs in kind of like this, where he enters the fight, goes in, intercepts in, goes to the far side while he's blasting BT, Sunder, Heroic Strike, whatever, and goes to about this location here, right? And then all the melee can just enter DPS off the bat, as all that matters is they don't link as he's moving in on pull, right? Then the DPS can start spreading. And I like to say that they stop about here on either side, right? Reason we're not going past here is if someone goes into their spot here in either northeast or northwest, it might accidentally go too close to the tank and link, right? People sometimes can take a little bit of time to adjust. So the first 12 seconds, right? I usually recommend just do a hard stop here until it stops casting beams. When you notice that it stops casting beams, you have another 12 seconds where you need to that you have to like get back into position, right? So really what we're looking to do is just find and adjust our position here from here, right? It's a pretty short run and it's pretty straightforward. And that's really all there is to it. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to drop a little comment below. You can also DM me on Discord if you happen to know me. And that's all for today. If you have any questions about other raid encounters or potentially want guides on how to deal with certain segments or bosses or raid mechanics, feel free to come with some suggestions if you need some help. I'm down to do more content if there's interest for it. Fortunately, my YouTube skills are pretty shit, so content wise I don't really provide much, but hopefully my explanation or whatever is able to make the concepts comprehensible. So thank you very much for watching today and have a good day. Alright, so I was gonna stop the video there, but after uploading, shortly after, a friend contacted me and showed me some logs in which it kind of disproves some of the stuff that I was just mentioning, in which someone gets I-beamed based on thread past the 12-second mark. Now, I can't say for sure exactly if this is how that works, but so far my theory as to what happened in this particular log is that when we go in and check the graph on thread, is we see that the tank had no thread. He basically didn't do anything in opener. And if we look here, the guy that gets beamed next is doing a little blood rage at about 12.6 seconds into the combat. So my suspicion is that the way that this works is it's maybe not so accurate to call it the 12-second rule. Maybe it's more accurate to call it the 13-second rule, because my suspicion is it does the 4 beams on top thread, and then someone over aggroed the current tank while the beam was still considered threat based, aka within the first 13 seconds. Then, because someone does over aggro, it decides, okay, I want to beam him, he over aggroed, and then it does this. Another 2 beams based on thread. Now, what's funny is in this particular log, it's then also 6 seconds later on the random beam. Usually we see here that the random beam starts at about 24, 25, 26 seconds into combat. Here does it 31 seconds. So that's my best explanation. So I could re-edit the entire video and maybe call it like the 13-second rule. But unfortunately, I think that's a little late for me now since I have to redo the whole thing. So I guess the lesson from this whole thing is probably 12 second, 13-second rule, somewhere in between is how you want to think of it. Again, I don't think this behavior here you'll ever realistically see if your tank actually goes in and presses buttons, right? Because there'd have to be that the DPS overtakes him in this small gap in between. The beam goes out at 11.6 seconds, and while the threat-based beam is like considered a thing, right? Which would be around like the 12-13 second mark. Yeah, just wanted to add this little bit in here. I don't have much more to add. Again, if there are more people with logs that disprove what I made in this video, feel free to reach out to me. You can post logs below or something like that. I'd love to try and dive through that too to figure out exactly what might be occurring. So far, this is just my guess on this particular log. So yeah. Anyways, that's it. Thanks for watching.